Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Nick Howell. I'll be presenting us Bring Order to Data Chaos with Cohesity today. Some quick introductions real quick. Formerly of NetApp and previously before that, many years as a consultant and end user before joining Cohesity earlier this year. So getting into things really quick, here's what I want to talk about. There's a lot of things going on in the industry today, managing data outside the realm of what we would consider Tier 1. We want to go over the state of the union in a bit, specifically around data protection. I want to be able to give you 3 actionable tips that I think will really resonate with a lot of people when it comes to managing this data. We're going to do a full overview of the Cohesity data platform and how we are solving some of these problems. And we're going to give you a quick hardware and UI sneak peek before VMworld. So again, thanks everybody for joining us, and here we go. So one of the big things that I always like to start with is a quote, and I always look into data when it comes to these sorts of things. So for me, one of the biggest problems right now is the sheer amount of data that is being created and it's not being made useful enough. So this, I found this quote from, based in the UK, the economy is using and generating mass amounts of data, and I think it's a kind of a perfect example from a government perspective of how a lot of this data is being generated, how people are using it, and what they could do with it further. Let's take a look at what things currently look like today. How many people would say that this kind of looks like their data center? They have so much stuff going on. Most of the people that we talk to have at least 2 or 3 of these various solutions and platforms and hardware and software and all kinds of things going on in their data center for different purpose-built reasons, right? That will drive you absolutely crazy. And anybody that has dealt with a lot of this stuff really understands that, and that hits home for them. So let's take a look at the actual landscape. What are we talking about here? Well, we like to equate it to an iceberg. The top of the iceberg, the smaller part that peeks out through the top of the water, is what you mostly hear about online or through the media or et cetera. This is your Tier 1 workloads. These are the mission-critical, revenue-generating lines of business that are consuming most of your spend and that sort of thing. But there's this other area that's hidden beneath the water, and I'll just call it everything else. Or, Gartner has picked up and started calling it secondary storage. This includes everything from data protection to analytics systems, worm archiving, test and DevOps environments, et cetera, and even to an extent your cloud spill that's kind of an extension of your data center. Mass amounts of data. So what I've tried to do here is really boil this down and simplify things into what this landscape truly looks like. And you can really get it into three discrete columns: data protection, operational workloads, and analytics. And a lot of these things that people use, none of these in here are really Tier 1 mission critical systems. But we find that they are upwards of 90% of the data that is kept in the modern enterprise today. So how do people continue to deal with this without continuing to buy high-end Tier 1 storage systems at a very high premium to manage these things? I want to give you guys 3 actionable tips to go through here. The first one, and before I get into these, for those of you that went through the virtualization era in the late 2000s, this is very much akin to a lot of the same answers that did and the way that we attacked things when it came to doing physical to virtual migrations and things of that nature. So number 1, get organized. If we go back to the analogy I was making to server consolidation a little bit ago, it was one of the big things was find all your servers, inventory everything, figure out which ones you can virtualize, et cetera. Much like that, we're going to find all of your data. We want to go through and find everything that you have. Let's make sure that it's indexed and searchable, and let's not have any dark data. So I threw the definition in here from Gartner for what dark data is. And if you think about it like zombie snaps or test dev environments that have just gone on infinitely, so you might have some snapshots on arrays that have just grown because they didn't get deleted through some automated process or cycled out, etc. This is what really falls into the category of dark data. And we can help actually fix a lot of that stuff. So tip 1, get organized, find out everything, make sure you have an inventory of all of your stuff. Number 2, consolidate. Again, much like the virtualization area, once you find everything you have, once you have a list of all of these things, you can now consolidate them into a single, you can collapse silos, basically, is what I'm getting at. Right now, if you remember that slide at the beginning of all of the different solutions from all of the different vendors, that's what we're talking about here. Collapse a lot of those silos down, find a one distributed unified platform to house all of this data on, and instead of server consolidation, we'll call it a data consolidation. All right. And lastly, tip number 3, cut costs. This is where it gets really fun for your business. As you consolidate more and more, as you'll remember if you went through the server consolidation side of the world, you were able to you had probably ended up with 3 or 4 big hosts and you had a ton of servers that got sent to a graveyard. Well, in a sense, it's not the servers this time, it's the vendors. It's a lot of the licenses, it's a lot of these software silos that you have, and specialized licenses that you can now get rid of because you have a platform such as the Cohesity platform to consolidate all of these, index everything, and act in a distributed scale-out fashion. And for any South Park fans out there, of course, the last phase of any project is always profit. So let's take a look at the Cohesity data platform specifically. Initially, as we set out, I just want to talk about the goal and the vision here a little bit. We break these down into, again, 3 discrete kind of areas: manage, store, and learn. And today, these are kind of done independently. You're managing things in a different way than you're storing them, and you're doing analytics and test dev against them in a different siloed kind of architecture. Well, the beauty is, what if we could consolidate all of that onto one single platform where you did all of your data protection on a truly scale-out platform, all-inclusive licensing, and you were able to clone backups and everything the way right there on one centralized platform? Well, that's what we're bringing to the table. As far as hardware and system layout, you're getting kind of a first sneak peek at the bezel here. That's what it's going to look like. It is a 2U chassis, all Intel parts inside, 4 nodes in each block, each chassis. Each one of those nodes has 2 Intel Haswell processors, 64 gigs of RAM, and 2 10 gig ports, 2 1 gig ports, and a single IPMI management interface, out-of-band management. So put all that together in a 4-node block, and you get 96 terabytes raw, 6.4 terabytes raw of flash, and a lot of networking horsepower coming out of the back of one of these blocks. But that's not really that special, to be honest. Where it gets really special is the Cohesity distributed file system. This is the platform that we are building. It's a brand new file system created from the ground up to solve the problem of exactly what we've been talking about previously. Truly infinite scale, policy-driven global deduplication that is user-defined. You can set it as either inline or post-process based on what that workload is doing. We've got true zero-space efficient snapshotting and cloning, a new patented and trademarked way to handle that. We do automatic I/O tiering as the I/O feeds into the box. So if it is, based on the nature of the workload, we're either going to send it to flash or to disk, either one. It is truly fault tolerant. Again, the beauty of fantastic software and using commodity hardware is that we expect failures, and the system is built for that. And true non-disruptive operations comes into this as well when it comes to upgrading, building out your cluster, adding additional nodes, replacing nodes, etc. If we start to layer on top of that, we've got a layer of data management now where we begin to do things like, once we have the file system in place and this cluster is built out, we begin to do things like data protection, DR archiving, true cloud integration there. We build out test and dev with the cloning. We automate the spin up and the tear down, specifically with vSphere. And we do some native analytics as well, not only for your storage system, but for the data that you're housing on the storage system. From an application integration standpoint, as the system sits today, and as we're going to bring it to market by the end of the year, we are going to have full support for VMware vSphere through the V80P APIs. We're also going to do distributed NFS across the entire cluster. And as the hint implies there, we've got big plans for much, much more. It does not stop there. Unfortunately, at this time, I cannot reveal that. And on top of that, we have the global management. So I believe that it's table stakes today for any system to have a full RESTful API interface, and we even leverage that ourselves to build in our own CLI and GUI. So the beauty of this is that if you have any automation systems, if you have any built-in workflows, we have a full API that you can take advantage of, you and your developers, to build this system and the workflows into your systems that you already have today. So on the box, as it's delivered, we deliver 3 applications: Protect, Use, and Learn. Now let's look at the first one, Protect. This is going to be your automated VM discovery, which I'll show you how it looks in a screenshot here in a little bit. We're literally pulling the entire vCenter inventory into the Cohesity user interface so that you can do what you need to do, and I'll give you some examples of that as we move through the slides here. Again, globally deduplicated backups, inline or post-process, or you even have the option to turn it off if you would like to for workloads that don't dedupe very well. We have native indexing on the box, which I'll also give you a sneak peek at here in a little bit, where it's essentially, it does predictive search. So you can start typing in wildcards or names of a server, and it will begin giving you all of the results in a little drop-down. Instant search and restore. So once you search, you find a result, you can click on a button and it will restore it, whether it's a file that you just want to download off the system, all the way up to pushing a virtual machine back into vCenter. Due to the way that we do snapshots, that happens instantaneously. Actually, the longest part of that time is the time that it takes to add back to inventory once you get into vSphere. So if we take a look at the Use application, this is where you're going to do a lot of your storage management and your cloning operations. Of course, any storage system, you have to have the ability to carve out workspaces and storage containers of some sort. We want to give you the ability to rapid deploy using the same snapshot technology. We're going to rapidly deploy test dev environments that could be one or many virtual machines and one or many data sets, all inclusive. Our new technology that we have here is called SnapTree. And SnapTree allows you to do zero space clones at no performance or capacity overhead until you start writing to it in a cloned environment. But just by nature of creating the cloned environment, you are not consuming any additional space. Native file services via NFS and SMB. SMB likely will follow or be ready by the end of the year. That's going to open up all kinds of doors for us to do unstructured data, NAS environments, etc. We're going to support 2.1 and 3.0, so if anybody wants to do anything with Hyper-V, that's going to be supported as well. And it gives us the ability, in this area, we also create custom fault-tolerant domains or partitions. So if you think of this in a multi-tenancy aspect, you have the ability to go in and hard carve nodes, a set of nodes within your cluster. So if you had a 8-node cluster, you could carve 3 of them out for one partition, 4 of them out for another partition, etc. And lastly, one of my favorite ones is the Learn application. This is where you get into a lot of your utilization trending. So we're going to give you some predictive analytics around how much capacity you're using, how fast you're growing, and how much you need to put into your budget next year for new nodes or additional blocks, etc. This is also the place where you get to do some really cool stuff around injecting your own custom queries. So if we have an open SDK as well, where you can write to it, and the ability to go in either through that or through the API to build your own queries, reports, etc. We're going to give you global metrics and insight to your data right within the box. We're going to do user, VM, and file reporting, so at any level of granularity. And again, that proactive health monitoring is something that we monitor the disks, we monitor the system, and if we notice that there's anything that is failing with that piece of hardware, we're going to move it and just stop using it, essentially, and begin to recover that data. So a lot of people ask me what's my favorite part of the Cohesity data platform, and this is really it. This is where the bread and butter is going to be eventually once we get the system out there. The programmable data platform is only one piece of this, but I think it's really, really powerful, and I'm really, really excited about it. Once you get data on the box, whether that's just backups or user data, et cetera, cloned environments, you can begin to use it in other ways. So at the bottom, you'll see we have our native applications, and we've got a couple of more already that we are hoping to sneak in, so it's not just going to be the 3. But we have the ability for third parties and ISVs to come in and create applications on the box. So we're having some early conversations right now, but just to give you a little bit of a teaser of what we're talking about is what we're hoping to accomplish. This is all partnerships, and there's a lot of talking that has to happen. We have this open SDK where these partners could potentially come in and run stuff natively on the box. So we're very excited about that. I'm personally excited about that, and I think the future is very bright when it comes to building that ecosystem around the Cohesity data platform. So again, a quick recap here of the work. We call it the Cohesity Workbench. You have the ability to inject your own custom or customer code. We want to build a community of developers around this open SDK for third-party apps or building your own apps within your data center to do things the right way. One of the cool things about analytics is that nobody ever does it the exact same way. So any application or any analytics system that you bring in is always going to need to be customized to some extent to tailor it to your business. We give you that power to do so. And essentially, you're taking what has been or what has traditionally been useless data, and we're now giving you the power to turn that into information without having to move yet another copy off to another discrete system. So let's take a peek. Congratulations, you guys that are on here live are the first ones to see. But here's the hardware. And it's, each of the nodes, we've got them stepped out here. They are slim nodes. Again, all Intel hardware, 2 Haswells, 64 gigs that is also expandable to 128. We have 2 10 gig interfaces. We have 2 1 gig interfaces, full KVM support for each node, dual power supply redundancy, as well as an IPMI management interface there. And here's the UI. If we take a quick look at the dashboard here, sorry I can't do something live yet, but stay tuned. There'll be something online about that soon. Here's a quick shot of the dashboard. When you first log in, this is the first thing you're going to see. We're going to present you a tiled interface that's going to give you an overview of your system, any alerts that you might see, and your current storage utilization. We're going to show you the amount of VMs that you're protecting and also call out the number of VMs that are unprotected. All right? So all of this powerful information right on the dashboard, right where you need to see it. The cool part about this is that it also works on mobile. So if you pull this up on an iPhone or an iPad, it's all HTML5, so it's all going to automatically adjust, but the UI designers have come up with a way to make a more mobile-friendly version. So we're showing you similar information, but we're doing something special where we're throwing any alerts that are critical up to the top so that you can resolve those wherever you are. Also, if you take a quick look at the menu structure on the right there, you can see kind of each of what's going on in the menus there and how we lay those things out. Quick look at the cluster management. This is where you're going to manage your hardware and any physical resources that are tied to the cluster. We've got 4 tabs there, summary, partitions, and a notion we have of view boxes, which you think of a logical partition of sorts inside of your cluster, where you could contain certain data sets and specifically and apply certain attributes and properties to them. And individual nodes can also be managed at this point. One of the cool parts is we have a one-click upgrade where you can upgrade your cluster. All of the nodes will get upgraded within your cluster. And we have the ability to discover new nodes on the network as they're brought up, and we can automatically add them to the cluster in a couple of mouse clicks. If we look at monitoring, monitoring is where it starts getting fun. We're going to give you a full breakdown of your data reduction, your total cluster capacity, all of the different levels of what's used, raw versus logical versus physical. And we're going to give you some true data reduction numbers with some metrics and graphs and stuff down at the bottom. So one of my favorite parts of this is the actual vCenter inventory that you're seeing on the screen now. We are literally calling vCenter. We register it as what we call a source, and we're going to go in and pull the entire inventory through the APIs into our interface and give you the ability to select them with little checkboxes, and that does cascade. So if you click a host, it's going to include all virtual machines and folders that are inside of that or contained in that host or cluster, etc. And then the ability to just quickly add that to a job, as well as selecting an option to automatically add any new items that show up as part of that cluster into that same job as well in the future as you go forward. One of the other things that I really love about this system is the native indexing. So if you think of like a Google-like search that does some predictive search, like we have CentOS machines here that we were protecting, and I just typed in CENT and I got a list. So the ability to do that with a wildcard. So if I hit CENT asterisk and hit search, I'm going to get a list below that of all of the Cent machines that are in the system, with the ability to have a restore or a clone done in a operation off to the right, right there within the search results. It's really, really cool. So I'll ask you again, are you tired of this? If you would like to know more, come see us. We are going to be at VMworld this coming here in a couple of days, I guess, right? Join us for the Tuesday hall crawl. We're going to have pina coladas in the booth. We have kind of a Hawaiian theme going on this year. We're going to be giving away Aloha shirts with some. You'll get to see a sneak peek of it here in a second. We're going to give an Apple Watch away at the end of every day. And our grand prize for the entire week is an all-expenses-paid vacation to Hawaii. Now, what do you need to do to enter that, Nick? There's two ways you can do it. There's two things going on here. We want to know what your storage pains are that you're trying to solve. In order to share with us your best story or your best problem that you're trying to solve, and use the hashtags storage pains and escape to Hawaii, and let us know what those are, and you'll automatically be entered in that. As a last-minute thing that we threw in here, I know it's only a couple of days away, but specifically for those that are local to San Francisco or that can make last-minute travel arrangements, we actually have a couple of VMworld full conference passes that we are trying to give away. So, last minute, yes, but please tweet us your storage pains with the hashtag VMworldPass, and we will enter you in for that as well, and we'll be in touch probably in the next 24 hours. So, last but certainly not least, here's a picture of myself wearing our Aloha shirts that we'll be giving away and that you'll see our booth staff wearing all next week. So with that, I'd love to open up the Q&A and allow you guys to ask any questions, technical or not. If you have any questions, you can throw them into there's a Q&A button where you can type them in. All right, so we have a question from Jake. Jake asks, how many nodes can the hardware go up to? Well, it's a good question. Currently we have tested up to 16. We are currently in the process of testing 32 nodes. We're doing that with ESG, and we will hopefully have that done probably sometime in the next couple of months. But we've pushed these things to the limits that we can as fast as we can get the hardware in, but we're just going to continue to push it. So thank you, Jake, for that. Alex, thank you for your question. Will there be any options to archive to cloud storage? By cloud storage, I assume you mean something like S3 or Glacier, something along those lines. The answer is yes. There will definitely be CloudSpill as part of the integration here. You'll also be able to use that OpenSDK or APIs to stitch together any other cloud providers that you may like to use. So those will definitely come over time. But I believe we're going to come out of the gate with at least Glacier support, if not some additional Amazon support. Great question. Matthew asked, is there any indicative pricing yet? There is, but that's not something we can talk about on the webinar currently or today. All of that information will be available once we GA, and we'll have your account reps get in contact with you. The best case here is to go to the Cohesity website, cohesity.com, and in the top right corner in the menu, there's a button that says Early Access, and if you put in your information, you can, someone from our sales department will contact you, and we'll make sure we get a line of dialogue going with you. So Matthew had another question. With backup, do you support long-term retention to object and cloud storage, etc.? Yes. The answer to that currently is a little bit unclear because we have not fleshed all of that out completely yet. So yes, it is definitely there. Yes, it is definitely coming. The details of which I can't share with you just yet, but yes. Great question from Cormac Hogan. Do you like pina coladas? I absolutely love pina coladas. I think they're amazing, and I'm looking forward to having one with you, Mr. Hogan, at the hall crawl on Monday. Michael asked, which storage protocols do we support? iSCSI, Fiber Channel, FCOE, etc. That's a great question, Michael, and I apologize for not covering that. We are Ethernet only at the moment, so 10 gig comes out of the back of each node. We're going out the gate with NFS support, and SMB is going to follow directly behind that. iSCSI is being discussed, but not very much. We see Ethernet as the way of the future. Alex asked, any features tailored towards customers acting as service providers to their organizations, for example, granular RBAC? That's a really good question. It's something we've talked about a lot with regards to the concept that we have called partitions, where you can physically carve out X number of nodes for departmental or even service provider use cases, like you mentioned. So the ability to do multi-tenancy is a big deal, but we, like you mentioned, we do need to do some granular RBAC in order to control access to each of those partitions. So that is definitely coming down the road as a thing. So yes, to answer your question. All right. Any other questions? Throw them in the Q&A chat, guys. All right. Thank you very much for joining us today, guys. And last but certainly not least, please be sure to give us a follow on all the social medias. And again, that URL is there at the bottom of the page. If you'd like a deeper dive briefing with either our sales team or one of our engineers, certainly go sign up for the early access. We can get you in to get some more details. Cohesity.com/early access. And we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Give us a follow. Give us some likes. We'll love you guys. With that, thank you very much. That's going to do it. Again, my name is Nick Howell. I'm the Tech Evangelist here at Cohesity, and I can't wait to see you guys at VMworld. Have a great day.